students. So we are going to review how to get your plans onto a sheet. So basically we've made this model, right? You have your roof, you have your walls, and it's a 3D model. And we also have plans that we've developed. So these plans are cuts through the model that look down at it, right? So here I'm looking at my level 1. Here I'm looking at my level 2. Now, I want these to be on a sheet that I can print on a computer, and then I can display them, or I can share them with a contractor so that we can get this building built. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a view. So I'm going to go up to view, and then if you come over to this area that says sheet composition, you're going to click on sheet. I already have the title block loaded, but you might need to load it. So if you click on load, you're going to navigate to your file. So most of you, I believe, downloaded the file off of, it's not called Canvas, off of Google Classroom. So on Google Classroom, there should be a file, and it is called BDS 11x17 title block. That's the one you want. So click on that and hit open. Then make sure it's selected here and hit OK. So that is going to give you this sheet. This sheet has a title block, which gives all the basic information about your project. So here where it says designer, you can type in your name. Here you can put in the name of your project. So I have Charmery Ice Cream Shop in mind. Here is the name of the project. So here I'm putting in floating retail pop-up shop. I think it technically says address. So if you had an address you wanted to put in for that, you could put that in as well. And then over here is going to be our sheet name. So we're going to call this floor plans. Once you have that information in, all you need to do is drag your view onto the sheet. So I'm going to go to level 1. I'm going to drag it onto the sheet. Oh, I already have a sheet made for this one. So let me delete this sheet a second. And let me rename this A101. My apologies. All right, so let's try that again. So so basically each of these views can only be on a sheet one time. It wants to make sure that you're not duplicating, you're not putting the same view on more than one sheet. So if that happens, you can duplicate a view. So I could have right-clicked here, hit duplicate view, duplicate with detailing, and then I could have brought the duplicate view on. But if you don't have that problem, you would just drag it straight on and it'll pop up here. So some of you, when you drag it on, you might have a really big box. That means that you need to adjust your crop region. So if you come down here to visibility, there's these little buttons. This one that has this kind of like cropping rectangles here and the light bulb, you turn that on, that's your crop region. So anything outside this box you will not see, anything inside this box you will see. I would like you to also click on it and then go over here to properties and also turn on your annotation crop. So under properties, you can click on annotation crop. And that's going to mean that any kind of annotation, like the dimensions, or if you draw on top, or if you put text on, will also be cropped. So to change the size of this, you just drag the bubbles. So you click and you drag them. So I'm going to bring those in nice and close. Notice if I were to bring that in too far, you start to lose the actual building there. Same thing over here. So I could cut the building, but if I brought on my annotation crop, I could still get dimensions of things I can see. But I want to have this about there. So I'm going to drag those in. When I'm done messing around in the view, I'm going to double click outside. So the way views work is that they're kind of like pieces of paper on your paper. So when you double click, you're inside the model and you can change things in the model. So I could delete these doors, for example, or I could split the swing of these doors, for example. When I double click outside, I'm on the sheet and I can edit things on the sheet. So they're kind of two different things. Next thing, your view might be the wrong size. It might be really big or really small. So mine's at 1/8 inch. I want to see if I can get it at 1/4 inch scale. To change the scale, I'm going to click on here, then come over to properties, and come down to view scale, and I can change the view scale here. So for that 1/8 inch, let me bring it up to 1/4. And it looks like that'll still fit very comfortably on my sheet, which is great. When I did that, you'll notice that my title of this sheet now has kind of fallen down over here. I want to bring that over. So if I click on my piece, that allows me to change the length of this. If I don't click on it, so if I single click out here, I can then drag this more into this region. So I'm going to line that up, and actually I'm going to have this extend a little bit longer. So I'm going to click on here, and then I can drag this bubble out to make it a little bit longer. Okay, last thing, I want to hide my crop region. So I'm going to double click so that I can edit things in the view, come back over here, press that button again. Then I can also right click and do deactivate view instead. Okay, so that is my first plan. Let's bring on a second plan. So if I come over here to level 2, same thing, I'm going to drag it over, click. This one, the cropping view is too big, so I'm going to double click, come down over here, show my crop region, drag in the bubbles, turn them back off, deactivate my view. Oh, so it looks like I need to put on my annotation crop. I forgot to do that. So I'm going to come back to properties, and under properties, I can turn on annotation crop. And let's see if that fixes it. And do I have a crop view and crop view? Okay. There we go. So I want it to be the same size as this other view. So I'm going to double click again, and then under properties, bring my view scale up to 1/4 inch. Okay, so now I drag it. When it's lined up with the other plan, that little dotted blue line will show up. And then I'm going to bring my title, click and drag it over. Then to make this shorter, I click on my view one time, and then that bubble will show up, and I can drag that in. So here are my 2 views. So we have 1 page of floor plans. I also want to make 1 page with my elevation and 1 page with my 3D view. So I'm going to come over here to Sheet, make a new sheet, same title block, hit OK. This one I'm going to call Elevations, or Elevation. And here I'm going to put in my name again. Okay, so for elevations, let's see if I have one already. I don't think I have one already, so I need to make one. So I'm going to come over here to my floor plan. I can double click, so I'm working in the view. Then under view, I'm going to come here to elevation. And you'll see this little thing show up. It's this tells me where my elevation is looking. So if I click here, it'll be looking at the front wall where that arrow is pointing. If I come over here, it'll be looking at the side wall, here, back wall. I can also do that for the inside. It can look at interior walls. But for now, I'm just going to do the outside. So I'm going to come over here, click, hit escape. And then you'll notice that if I click on it, it shows me how wide my view is. So I can drag these in, so it's just looking at the building. If I want to know the name of this, I can come to Properties. And over here, it's called Elevation 1A. I'm going to change that name and call it Front Elevation, so I can find it and hit Apply. Okay, now I'm going to right-click and deactivate View. I'll now go back to my Elevations page. I'm going to my Project Browser, and all my views available to drag onto here are over here. So I'm going to come to Elevations, and you'll see Front Elevation has showed up. I'm going to plop that over, and there is the front elevation of my building. I'm going to put that over to one size, and I'm going to bring this title over. I want to adjust my crop region a little bit, so I can bring this up. And there's my elevation information. Bring this. It looks like right now I can't see the top of my roof, and I think that's because my elevation doesn't go far back enough. So I'm going to go back to my floor plan, double click here. If I click on here, do you see like this arrow? I'm going to drag that all the way to the back of my building, and that should allow my roof line to show up. I'm also going to make sure that, oh, it looks like my roof is pretty high. It might not actually fit on my page. That could also be part of the problem. So I might not show the whole roof. Maybe I'll show up to there. Then I'm going to turn off my crop region. So you'll also notice over here that this is a reference. So it now tells me where this is. It says it's on sheet A102 and it's detail 1. So if I come over here, you'll notice it's sheet A102 and detail 1. And this is smart. So if I change this, so if I decide, actually this isn't going to be detail 1, this is going to be detail A or something. If I now go back to my floor plans, it now says A over here. So those drawings stay linked together. Anytime I see one of these, I can either follow this, so figure out I need to go to A102A, or if I click on here and right click, I can go to elevation view, and that'll bring up that view. Okay, so now I have my elevation on here. Let's actually put a section on as well. So if I go over to floor plans, this time I'm going to make a section. So to do that, I go to view, click on section, and then this little box will come up. If I click on it, it'll tell me the section name. So I'm going to click on here under properties. This section now is called section 1. I'm going to call this building section and hit apply. Okay, so now if I come back over to elevations, I'm going to change the name and call it elevation and section. And same deal for this. I go to my project browser. I'm going to look for sections in my project browser, and then I'm going to drag my building section onto here. So you'll notice that this is much bigger than, it's really a little too big for my sheet. So I'm going to bring down the scale of these two. I'm going to bring this scale down to 1/8 inch. So that, here's 1/4 inch, here's 1/8 inch. That's a little bit more manageable. Bring in my bubble, bring this down a little. Okay, and I want these two to align, so I'm going to change the scale of this as well. I'm going to bring this down to 1/8 inch. And now, if I line them up, that little line will show up to tell me they're aligned. So I'm going to change this to 2, detail number 2, and I'm going to make this detail number 1. Okay, I'm going to come back in here and fix my crop box. So again, come down to the bottom bar, show crop region. I'm going to bring this up a bit and turn that off. Now you'll notice that line's still not showing up, even though I know that I fixed this to show the whole roof. There we go. I guess it was just glitching. Okay. So I now am going to double click outside and that will work. This one I need to turn off my crop region. So I'm going to double click here and I'm going to turn off my crop region. So you'll notice right now that I think in this model I never made anything below here. Let's make sure. Yeah, I guess I never made my floaties. So let's say I didn't want to model them for whatever reason. I didn't have time and I wanted to just draw them in quickly. I can do that with 2D lines. So if I come here to my front view, I can go to annotate and I can use a filled region, grab my circle, and then I could click check mark. I need to make my crop region a little bit bigger here so we can see what I'm drawing. But I could essentially then hit CO for copy, MV to move, and I can just keep CO copy. I can copy these, CO copy, CO copy. I could copy those all the way across. I could also make it look like there's water here. So I could again do a filled region. I could select this, which is a spline, and I can create a wavy line here. Hit enter, and I can use this to finish this up. So I'm going to make this like a shaded area. and hit the green check mark. I want to make it blue, so if I come over here, I can click Edit Type, duplicate it, call this Water, hit OK. I'm going to change my foreground fill pattern to solid, and I'm going to change my foreground fill color to blue, and hit OK. And now, and one more thing, if I go to Edit Type, I can take off masking and apply, hit OK, and now I have water, and I can bring this up. So this is something that only exists in 2D. It's not modeled in, so it won't show up in any of my other drawings. I can copy and paste this to another drawing, so if I Control C, I'm going to come into my section and do a Control V. So now I have that same water. It's not, in the right place, but it's here. And then I need to change this so that it's looking the other way. So if I go to Edit Boundary, my cylinder this way would really be, not look like a circle, it would look like a square. So I'm going to go ahead and show what that would look like. It would be a square within a square. So I'm going to delete my circle. And then I'm going to offset this maybe 3 inches. Hit Tab. Oh no, you can just click on each one, it's fine. And then use this button, the trim button, to show those thicknesses and click the check mark. And I'm going to move this so it's right under my floor. So now, even though I didn't go through and model those in, they're described in my drawing, and that's called annotation, when you're drawing something in your 2D view, but it doesn't exist in your 3D view. Okay, great. So we have our plans here. We have our sections here. One more thing I wanted to add to my plans, actually, in terms of annotation, I'd like to add room tags. So I'm going to come over here to Architecture, Room. I'm going to click on my room, and I'm going to give this a name. So I'm going to call this Retail Level. And 1 is fine. And actually, if I click on here, I can change this to do room tag with area, and it'll tell me how big this space is, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go to Architecture, Room. Click in there. It makes the X where you have enclosed walls. If your space is not totally enclosed, it won't make the X. I'm going to change this and call this Dining Level. And same thing, I'm going to select this, change this to room tag with area, and now I have these 2 labels. That's another kind of annotation you can do, is a room tag. All right, so now I have my floor plan, so I have my elevation section. The last thing I want you to add to a sheet is a 3D view. So you're going to go to View, New Sheet, BDS 11 by 17, hit OK. Here, you're going to make a 3D view. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. I'm going to make it from my floor plan. So I'm going to double click on my floor plan, and I'm going to click the down button here, get a camera. I'm going to place my camera kind of over in this corner and look at my building. So I'm too zoomed out, so I'm just going to drag these little buttons. And this, I think, still, like, my angle is just too extreme, so I might be better off being farther away. So I'm going to make a new 3D view. So I'm going to come over to here. I'm actually going to turn off my crop region for a second. So to do that, I come over here and hit Do Not Crop View. Now I'm going to go down button on the 3D view, get my camera, and I'm going to come a little bit farther away. And now look at my building. And so now that looks a little better, right? I'm a little farther away, I can see a little bit more, it looks less weird. Okay, so this is called 3D View 2. I'm going to come over to Properties and change this to Perspective View. And I'm going to turn off my crop region here. And then I don't know how big this is yet, so I want to see how big this is. So I'm going to, I need to crop this again. So come over here, hit Crop View, Deactivate View. I'm going to come onto my A103 page, call this Perspective. And now I'm going to drag that view onto here. So I'm going to come over here under 3D views, drag my perspective view on. And that actually looks like it already fits really well. If I needed to change it, I can come over here to size crop and I can change the field of view or the scale. So if I were to change the scale, I could make the width 12 inches and hit apply. And you'll see it makes the whole thing a lot bigger. But the 6 inches actually looked really good. Maybe I'll do 8 inches. Hit apply and then hit OK. So there's my perspective view. I'm going to center it on the page. I want this to have some shading on it. So if I double click here, I can change how this shows up, not hidden line, down here in my view bar. So if I come over here, perspective, detail level, I'm going to change that to fine. And then I'm going to change this to be realistic. And that'll change it so that it is whatever my materials are. And if you have materials on here, they should show up. So if you have brick or whatever you have, it should show up. Next thing is I'm going to turn my sun path on. And I'm going to, it's relative to view selected. So I'm going to select my project time and place. And that actually doesn't look great. So maybe I'll just do sun settings. I'm going to do summer solstice. I'm going to change this to, let's see if they have Baltimore. Yeah. What is the BDS? Let's see, what's the address down at the Inner Harbor? Right, because these are supposed to be somewhere in this area, I believe. So let's see, what's the, how about we get the address for Pier 5? So it looks like it's Pratt Street. Let's try Pier 5 parking. What's the address here? 111 Marketplace 720. Okay, let's see if I put that in, if that will work. 111 Place, Baltimore. So these look like they're our closest weather stations here. So I'm going to pick this one that's 5 miles away and hit OK. And then hit OK again. And so that looks like the, that's actually showing me my solar path here. So if I were to show my crop region, make this a little bit bigger, you can actually see like how the sun rotates around, which is kind of cool, but we don't need that right now. So I'll turn sun path back off, but that kind of explains where the sun's going. And then over here, I'm going to turn shadows. Shadows are that's with the shadows on, that's with the shadows off. I actually think the shadows off looks better, so I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, I'm going to turn off my crop region, deactivate my view. And so now I have my 3 sheets. I want to be able to print these. So to print, I'm going to come here to File, click on Print. Over here, I don't know what the options will be on your computer, but there should hopefully be an Adobe PDF. That's what you would like to print it to. If not, it needs to be some other kind of PDF situation. I'm then going to come over here under Properties, and your computer might not do this. I need to unclick this box, Rely on System Fonts Only, so unclick that, hit OK. Then under Print Range, click Selected View Sheets, Select, and then you need to select those 3 sheets we made. Hit OK. And then under Settings, you're going to go to Setup, and here you'll change the size to Tabloid, Landscape, Vector Processing, Center, Zoom to 100% of size, hide unreferenced view tags. Otherwise, this should all be good. Once you're happy with that, you can save these settings and then hit OK. And then hit OK again. And yes, you want to continue. And so find a place you can save these. And I would put your name in here. So that's going to be my first sheet. Second sheet. And my third sheet. So now I have all 3 of my drawings. Make sure you put your name on all of them. I missed this one, it looks like. And it looks like here I capitalized and there I didn't. So there's always things you can improve on and fix. But once you are happy with these, you can send them to put them onto Google Classroom, upload them, and that will be the end of this project. Thanks so much.